Last piece, the back supports.
I got that one upside down. That's all right.
So, grab a tape measure and square. All right, so back supports. We're gonna follow procedures just like we've always done. You're gonna need 2 of these pieces. These pieces are 30 inches long, 1 7/8 inches wide by 3/4 of an inch thick. So let's go on to step 1. Receive the stock from the teacher. Measure and cut pieces to length using the miter saw. So again, I'm gonna demonstrate on 1. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you something with a second piece as far as the layout goes. So after we get that first one measured and cut, I'm gonna just cut another one. Now, obviously I'm not gonna give you a piece like this. This is a pretty ragged piece, and that's why I'm kind of using it for our demonstration purposes. So let's go over to the miter saw and let's make our miter cut. So what we wanna do is we wanna set our length stop on the miter saw. Remember, we do that by lowering the saw down right to our line. We bring our stop up and secure it down, and then we're ready to make our cut. And then what do we always do after we make our first cut?
Measure it again.
Yep, double check the length. So I'm going to grab the tape real quick and double check my length. I'm right at 30 inches, so that's perfect. So if this were my full piece, I'm going to push the other one up and butt it against the stop. And now I'm ready to make my second cut. So now I've got both my pieces cut. I'll take my items back to the table, my 2 pieces. And now if I go back to my route sheet, step 2 is to use the planer and to plane, it says 4 pieces, I have to make that correction. Plane the pieces to 3/4 of an inch thickness. So what's next? What machine?
Planer.
Planer. All right, so we want to plane these to 3/4.
Which is this machine? Wait, where?
You got it, bud.
I am guessing 2 times.
Do you want to turn on the... Oh, never mind. You got it. You can turn it off for me at the end of class. Daniel knows when to turn that thing on. All right, so we're going to plane both of our pieces. Grab me the square so I can check my thickness here. Okay, so thank you. After 2 passes, we just want to double check our thickness. Right now I'm at 7/8, and I want to go to what thickness? 3/4. So let's put it through once more. Another half, about 16 over. Perfect, 3/4. All right, let's go back to our workstation now after our pieces are planed. And we're ready to do our layouts. Okay, so we've already got all 6 of our back support braces here, so it's time to start laying this out. So the first thing we want to do is we want to lay out the location of the dowel rod hole on each piece, and then we want to take these to the drill press and drill them out. So the first thing we're going to need to do is find the location of this dowel rod hole. So we've got 2 1/4 inches from the end. So I'm going to set my handy dandy square to 2 1/4, and I'm going to go right in the center, and I'm going to make a mark. So that's my 2 1/4. Now if I look, because this is 1 7/8 inches wide, total width 1 7/8, I want to go 15/16 because I want that to be exactly in the center. So I'm going to set this to 15/16, and then I'm going to make my intersecting mark. Now I've got the locations for the dowel rod holes. All right, so what I have to do is I'm going to go to this back drill press. What I have to do first is I have to set up my 3/4 Forstner's bit. So I have to grab it out of my jit collection here. Here, grab. So let's come on back. Now it's going to be a good idea, because this piece is so long, we have this extra clamp back here that we can use to clamp these pieces when we get it all set up and ready. But first thing we need to do is remove this bit. Which bit is this again that I'm removing? The countersink bit, right? And that we use for almost all of our other pieces. So I'm going to remove that, and I want to put this Forstner's bit in. And then remember, I want to tighten my chuck on all 3 of the locking lugs so I know that it's in there and it's set up properly. And now I'm going to be ready to set up my first hole. So a good thing to do here is there's a little center point on that bit, so you want to get that center point right in the middle of the bit, and then what I would do is hold that down on there and then take one of those clamps and just clamp it down. That'll hold it in place. Okay? So now we're ready. Everybody see the top of this bit? The top of the Forstner bit right here? We want that to be right at the surface. Alright, I'm not going to set the depth stop on this, but we want that to be right on the surface. Looks like my clamp moved a little bit, so we just got to make sure that's in the center. And just like before, we want to go slowly. We want to withdraw the bit a few times. Can everybody see that's right at the surface right there? That's where we want to stop. We don't want to go all the way through. So it's very important that you don't go all the way through on this piece. All right, we only want to go until the surface of that bit is, or the top of that bit is right at the surface. That'll get us halfway through our piece. All right, so we want to set up the other one. Let's clamp the other one down. So that's right at the surface. And now we've got our holes drilled. So let's go back to our table now and let's look at what our next step needs to be. now we have to look at this end cut. If we go back, it says lay out the dowel rod hole on each piece, and we drilled the holes now with our Forstner bit. So now it's time to lay out the 1-inch corner cuts. So I want to set my square to 1 inch. And this is a really important step. What we want to make here is we want to either make a smiley face or a frowny face, and I'll show you that in just a second. A good way to do it is to put these pieces together just like this and just make a mark. Make a mark on both the pieces just like that at 1 inch, okay, while you've got them together. Then what we have to do is we have to measure 3/8 of an inch down and make a mark from the side. So we'll set this then to 3/8. And we'll make a mark. We'll set this and we'll make a mark. Now what we want to do is we just want to take our square and we want to connect those to the edges where we mark those lines. We want to connect them right to the edge. Okay? So when we're all done and we've connected these lines, we've made a frowny face. Can everybody see that? You got two eyes. You've got a face that's frowning.
That's a really bad frown.
It is a bad frowny face. And if you're feeling happy today, then you got a happy face. Okay? But it's either got to be a frowny face or a happy face. Because what can happen sometimes is you can make this piece wrong if you measured here and you measured here and you made your marks like this after you drilled your holes. This is what I call, oops, sorry. This is what I call two ships a-sailing. Everybody see the sails? If you made two ships a-sailing on your marks, try again, you're wrong, okay? So it's very important before you go to cut these that you say, hey, Mr. Redmer, did I make these marks right? Or you simply have to look and see that you have what or what? What kind of faces? Yeah, we want a smiley or we want a frowny, right? One or the other. And if you don't have those, then that means we probably didn't mark those right. So right now I've got a frowny, now I've got a smiley. But that's what you want, a frowny face or a smiley face. Okay, so after you've laid out the corner cuts, we want to consider the top edge radius. So we're going to make a radius on this on the same side that we made our mark, okay? If you look at this, see how we made this angle cut and the radius is on the same side? In order to make this radius, we're going to make it real simple. We've got wheels. Use our 10-head wheels, and I have some special orange ones that I'll leave out that you can use. So we'll take this one of these Trans-Tech wheels, excuse me guys, and then we want to draw this on the same side that we made that mark on. So we just set this up on the edge and we make a radius, and then we go along this edge and we make a radius, okay? So when we're all said and done, we've got a Frankenstein here that's happy. This is like his big forehead, okay? So that's what we should have. And if you've got a frowny face, then it looks like his eyebrows maybe are